Hello, everyone. It's so good to see so many familiar faces out there and names. Thank you so much for joining us today. We're excited to have you here. My name is Candace, and welcome to the Epic Events webcast. I am proud to be on the customer success team here at vFairs, and we want to welcome all of you here today to the webcast. I'm excited that we'll be talking about practical strategies for monetizing online events. This topic is really near and dear to my heart. I love talking about sponsorship and monetization. They're some of my favorite conversations to have with event planners just like you out there. So I'm really interested to see what our panelists have to say, and also what they have to share today about their online events and what they do with us. We're also lucky to have them as customers, and I would love to introduce you to all of them now. So as you can see on the screen, you see them, say hello. We have Alquincia. She is the founder and CEO of Immersive. And then we have Laura, who is coming to us from New Jersey. Her title is New Jersey Director of Community Relations with Rothkopf Law Group. And then we have Kevin, who is the Director of Technical Division Operations at Petroskills. Say hello, everyone. Welcome. Thank you all for taking the time out of your busy schedules to join me today to talk to everyone joining us here about these topics around sponsorship, monetization, and how you go about this for these online events that you have. So I'm super excited to hear about your experience and some insights to share and some takeaways for our attendees today. So really quick, before we dive into some of our questions in the chat, I just want to see here how many of you currently are using monetization or sponsorship for your online events? Would love to see some hands. Would love to see in the chats. Let us know. Are you on the monetization sponsorship side, or do you do both for your current events? Or maybe you don't do either right now. And maybe that's why you're here too, to learn more about it. Would love to see what you have to say. Awesome. Okay, we have a few people who say they're not currently doing either of these. I know we have some of the crowd who are. Great, not yet. All right, well, we're going to have a really great conversation today that maybe will get the wheels turning so you can do this at your next event. So let's start with just a quick introduction with our three panelists that I just introduced to you. Alquincia, let's start with you. Tell us a little bit about Immersive, your job role there, of course, as CEO, and then where you're located in the globe.
Okay, thank you. Good morning, everyone. Nice to be here with you. So my name is Alquincia Selolwane, and my parent umbrella company is called Immersive. And what I have now ventured into is virtual commercial property development. So I think this is super exciting, especially given the conversations around the metaverse and where we're headed. And so under that umbrella, I have two commercial properties that I've developed utilizing vFairs' extraordinary and amazing platform. And the first is the Black Virtual Mall, which launched July 7th of last year. And so this is a permanent structure with vFairs, and it's just like a mall, but it's virtual. And that one is super exciting. We also have a food court, we have a movie theater. So we have a few different alternatives. Really, sponsorship. But when I considered your question, Candace, I'm just going to replace tenancy with sponsorship. Fits right in, right? Okay, so my second venture is now the Black Virtual Convention Center, where I'm sort of like a mini vFairs, where I'm allowing people to host into my permanent standing convention center for 10-day cycles. And then, so that's the second one, and that has already launched, but we're doing just limited viewing. And then I have a few others that I'll be launching very soon. And I'm also in Brooklyn, New York. I think I forgot that part.
All right. So you're coming to us from up north. You probably, is it still cold there, I assume? Spring has its, right?
Comfortable 76 degrees where I am in my office. But yeah, it's very cold outside. Yeah.
And then Laura, I want to hear more about like what you do there at Rothkopf Law. and your job title and where you're located. I think you might be close to Alquincia, but let's see.
We are close to Alquincia. My name is Laura Nelson. Hi, everyone. I'm the New Jersey Director of Community Relations with Rothkopf Law Group. So it gives you the answer right there. I'm in New Jersey. Our firm is an elder care law firm. We actually support on both sides of the bridge. So we support in Pennsylvania and in New Jersey. My specific role is to do business development and educational programming with the other individuals within our industry, as well as assisting the firm with reaching the general public to try and offer the best possible resource and support. Our whole mission is to find them the best quality care out there and figure out how to pay for it.
That's great. Thank you so much for being here as well. And then Kevin, please tell us what you do at Petroskills, your job role, and where you're located. I have a feeling you might be the closest to me in comparison to Alquincia. And
Well, good morning, everybody. My name is Kevin Cuyler. I am the Director of Technical Division Operations at Petroskills. And Petroskills is an alliance of 23 oil and gas companies and suppliers who we come together on a regular basis to collaborate and learn from each other. My specific role, I'm responsible for conducting our annual meetings with all the alliance members. I also manage all of the discipline networks and communities of practice, where members come together to solve various problems, and then everyone benefit from the solution that's developed. We are officially headquartered in Tulsa, Oklahoma, although our staff and our members are all over the world, and I am actually in San Antonio, Texas.
all right, so you're in the South just like myself. Good. Well, thank you so much, all three of you, for being here today. I know we have a lot of ground to cover, lots of questions to go over. I'm really excited to hear what you might say for some of these questions. If you have any questions out there and you're watching on this webcast, please go ahead and submit those questions. We'll get to those at the very end for our panelists. So yeah, let's dive right in. So I want to start first by talking about your online events. I know you did a great job, all three of you, kind of mentioning what use case you do with us, where you kind of go, what your goals are, with your specific events. I want to talk a little bit about your team, because when we're talking about sponsorship, monetization, just, teams in general, a lot of people ask us, well, how big should our team be when we plan these online events? So I'm just curious, how big is your team that plans the specific events that you talked to us about a few minutes ago? Alquincia, we'll start with you.
So I have a team of 6. So I am CEO, CMO, CFO, CMO, pretty much the founder, the creative marketing, everything really. So my team, in terms of execution, where they help is that for the mall, I have floor managers. So since I have different tiers, there's a floor manager, and they help with the tenants that are on that floor. So they take all of the support, they approve the tenants, they are responsible for inputting the data. And then we also have our graphic team, which is comprised of 2. So I have 3 floor managers and 2 graphic designers. And the graphic designers actually build the booths that you guys are all familiar with. So we don't allow our users to do that. We handle that for the users so that we can get a little bit of quality control. And so I have 2 graphic designers, and we take in tenants monthly. And then I also have an executive designer who was responsible for my more customized animation for the mall. So he takes on like the heavy lifting of that portion. So altogether, there's a team of really 5.5, because we don't utilize him as much, but yeah, definitely a team of 5.
Great. That's impressive. And I love how you offer, your sponsors more of that white glove service with helping them create these booths, virtual booths that you're talking about. So that's great. Okay. Yeah. So you have about 5. And then for you, Laura, I know with you, I know when we talked before about the webcast, you mentioned that you guys also are very close to your sponsors, offering them that white glove type service as well, with trainings and a lot of other things that we'll get to later on. But tell me a little bit about your team. How big or small is your team?
So our team is a total of 4, me being one of the 4. We all have very unique skill sets. So one of our team members is wonderful at getting the sponsorships in, doing that boots on the ground, face-to-face work. We also have another team member who's our special projects coordinator, because our event is also loaded with continuing education credits for the professionals. So she really is very helpful in keeping the speakers and the presenters all organized and getting all the assets we need from them so that we can also get the CEUs approved. But then we also have our public relations director, who helps us with all of the PR and, proofing and making sure all the content that's going out is appropriate and also on par with what the event is. And then lastly, you have myself. I do all the trainings and the customizations within the platform. And in addition to that, I actually am coaching all of our sponsors because I'm not as nice as Alquincia. They do have to build their booth, but they build it with me. So it's more of a group effort, and I show them some new skills along the way. And if there is anything a little bit too difficult for them to grasp or it's just not in their wheelhouse, I go ahead and help them out and take care of that for them.
That's great. All right. So 4, Kevin, are there 3 of you? We have a trend here, like 5, 4, 3.
Well, I not to jump on the bandwagon, we actually have 5 to 6 people on our core team, and each person kind of heads up a specific area. We have 2 IT leads who kind of work through all of this, a session we may have, making sure that everything works good on that end. We have a communications lead, and then myself and another individual work directly with vFairs to coordinate that. And then we have an entire BD team who work through the business development side.
That's great. Okay. So you have pretty good teams on your side. I know each one has their own, individual unique skills that they bring to the table. Of course, marketing, and we'll get to marketing too, has a big role and part to play. And the sales team, of course, with sponsorship and monetization. But that's great. Thank you all so much. So I want to talk about, the online events that you do with us and how these online events help you in the end achieve your business goals. I know for all 3 of you, it probably might be a little different. So would love to hear each one, kind of discuss this topic. So Kevin, let's start with you. How, for your online event Conclave that you've done with us now, how does Conclave help you achieve these business goals that you have in mind?
Sure. Yeah. So we actually started our annual event back in 2001. So we actually celebrated our 21st year of doing this. And obviously with the whole COVID issue hitting our world 2 years ago, we went virtual. And so the online events have actually helped us to transform a lot of what we do around the communication side in helping our alliance members, because they can't travel either. And truly having a global group, a global alliance from every continent and every aspect of the energy industry helps everybody to come together to produce these solutions and help each other out. Really kind of an area to say, hey, this is a major issue. How do we work on this together? And nobody has to get on a plane. Nobody's had to go, hotels and visas and everything else, truly making our world a global virtual environment.
Yeah. And just the expansion, the reach that you've been able to have going virtual. And side note, congratulations on 20 years of Conclave being an event with you guys. We have
Thanks.
been super excited for you to bring that to us as well, for us to be able to do these events with you too, with Conclave. So thank you for sharing there. Laura and Alquincia, you guys are more along the lines of, sponsorship and all, but if we're looking at, business goals for these online events, Alquincia for Black Virtual Mall, and then Laura for Rothkopf, the symposium that you do with us. How do these specific events help you achieve these business goals?
I'll go ahead. So Rothkopf has actually been doing a symposium now for the past few years, and same to Kevin, when COVID hit, we went virtual. Our symposium objective, just like our mission as a firm, is really to be a resource to the other businesses and the care providers around us. So when we structured our symposium, it was resource focused. It was to make, business to business more available. When care providers can't find high quality care for the patients that they're servicing, the symposium really offers them that opportunity to start vetting out who works for them, who has the right resource that can actually meet the need that they're looking for. And when we partnered up with vFairs 2 years ago, or a year ago, should I say, we really found that our spread and our reach expanded tremendously. We didn't realize that there were care providers all over the country who were learning from us, but they unfortunately didn't have access to us because we did a lot in person. So now that we're virtual, we have found that we have a whole new audience that we can work with and we can support. And we have families of our clients who live all over the country. So it's actually turned into an opportunity for us to start referring out and building our partnerships even further.
Oh, that's great to hear. That's great to hear. Thank you so much. And Alquincia, what about you?
So vFairs is actually my solution. It is the business. It didn't exist prior to COVID. So again, I was responsive to COVID and the fact that 41% of Black-owned businesses closed during the pandemic. So this was a solution that I wanted to offer. And when I considered the solution and the deficiencies that Black businesses were facing moving into the digital space, because primarily 91% of Black-owned businesses are sole proprietors, which means we don't typically come from heritage businesses or have legacy companies within our network. So we kind of lack the skills and we're a little bit behind in quite a few essential areas. So digital was considerably behind. And so to resolve that problem, as I deep dived into it, I understood that it was not necessarily going to be enough to simply offer the types of marketplaces that already exist. I wanted to give them something to stand out. So I decided to use like an aggregation method so that I could become maybe more of a centralized hub, offer what vFairs gave in terms of the graphic user interface. So now that gives people a little bit more of that virtual feel without the heavy lifting of having to learn an avatar and take on all of that work, but gave them an immersive engagement and allows the businesses to stand out quite differently than any other market space utilizing the booths. So if you go to somewhere like Amazon, half of, I don't know, can we say Amazon? If we use another marketplace, the big guy in the room, typically we don't even know if you buy something, you don't know, you say it was Amazon. So there's no real brand presence. And so the booths allow the vendors to, or my tenants, my sponsors or my tenants to have that brand presence. Those welcome videos give them that welcome feel. So they're able to greet you with an advertisement or a promotion. And then what we utilize, instead of the inventory coming inbound, we just hyperlink them directly to their websites. So they like the fact that they're able to access that traffic that they were accessing before on their website. So whatever data they're collecting, all transactions take place on their website. They like that too. So we're not involved in any of their financial transactions. So it gave them a very new feel and it's exciting. And so with that excitement, like all the traditional malls and that convenience, it brought all of that newness to them. So they're getting eyeballs on their business that they simply didn't get alone. And so I feel like I'm like the conversation just crept right in between from Kevin to you two. It's like we're all right in sync with that because we're adding that value, you know, at the same time, but, you know, at the same time, we're collecting the B2B with the consumer as well. So we have two audiences and vFairs has been extraordinary.
Well, great. I always love to hear it. And I know for all three of you, it really comes down to, you know, value, you know, making sure that your attendees feel valued. You want them there. You're bringing something new to them that they can take back with them when they close out of that browser window, you know, when they sign out. And then also just the global reach that it's brought all three of you has really been astonishing and just really great to hear. So that kind of wraps up your business goals for all three of you. I want to dive more into you know, sales and what it takes to put on sponsorship. Not only with sponsorship, you look at having, you know, a fulfillment team that actually goes in and fulfills the sponsorships that maybe your sales team has been able to contract. So I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know for some customers, they kind of wear the sales hat, they wear the event planner hat. And I know I talked earlier about your different teams. It sounds like, you know, Kevin, you have 5 or 6, Alquincia 5, Laura 4. So with your current teams, I'll specifically ask Alquincia and Laura, do you have a dedicated sales team or do you also wear that hat? Alquincia, I'll start with you.
So I am the sales team. I am the marketing. I had the great fortune of already having a social media presence. So I've been offering business advice. So I've already been in the space and I've created other marketplaces or sometimes utilize Instagram as the platform to always promote Black businesses and give free business advice. So at this time, I have now about 170, almost 175,000 followers on
Wow.
Instagram. So I already have a lot of brand equity. And so I was able to utilize that. Another thing is that I took a very journalistic approach to say, what can I do to make a journalist want to write about my business? So having it where I am the first Black virtual mall goes a long way in headlines, and also being the first virtual mall, Black owned or otherwise, to have an operating food court and a movie theater, it presents a great conversation. So that alone has produced a tremendous amount of organic marketing for me. We had pre-sales before we even opened in terms of slots. And so that's been helpful. And now that we're getting a lot of press, we got into Forbes, and all of this was just organic. Now we are starting to push dollars behind in terms of marketing. But yeah, so far that's been me.
All right. So you wear all the hats. I mean, you're quite the influencer, and we probably should be asking for your autograph after this. So you might get that email from me, Alquincia. Go follow Alquincia, everyone. And then for you, Laura, what about you? Do you wear that hat for sales as well, or does someone else on your team have that role?
I am one of two on our sales team, actually. So yes, I do wear that hat, but I share it with my colleague. She covers Pennsylvania, I cover New Jersey, but we definitely work together in the overall initiatives and goals of the firm. Our sponsorships are really the way that we can make this symposium happen. Our goal is not to gain a lot monetarily out of the event, but really to cover the costs and offer that resource to those that are attending. So we do solicit our sponsors, and that sponsorship immediately is applied to the cost of the overall symposium budget. And then in addition to that, we do ticket sales, which is a nominal fee, and that monetization really is just utilizes that additional add-on. Last year, as we talked about earlier, I donated it to HFC, Hilarity for Charity. So though we did bring in a couple $1,000s through our ticket sales, we immediately applied that back to a non-for-profit, so that way it could go back to the care providers of those within our industry.
Wow, that's great. I love that you kind of had that. It's your mission with this event that I understand with the symposium to give back. And it's just really great to hear that you guys are doing that with your event. So both of you wear the sales hat, or share it at least with someone on your team. So I want to talk a little bit, and we'll get back into sales and then really dive into sponsorship here in just a minute. But I want to talk quickly about your virtual events and your specific target audience. So our attendees here kind of figure out, where your target audience is, what they do, that sort of thing. So Kevin, let's start with Petroskills. Who is your target audience?
Sure. So the Petroskills Alliance consists of 23 of the major oil and gas companies from around the world. And we support everything from upstream to midstream to downstream. And so in layman's terms, that's the exploration side all the way to energy going to the consumer. And so all of these companies combined represent approximately 80 to 85% of the energy that's produced in the world.
Wow.
And so our customers, if you will, our alliance members, our partners, are every employee within those companies, because we help anyone that is an employee of them.
Oh, nice. Okay, great. Laura, what about you?
So can you repeat the question real quick? I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I was reading questions.
No, of course. I want to hear a little bit about your target audience for the symposium. Who are the attendees who are coming to this?
Sure, sorry. So our attendees really are a mixture. So we have attendees who are care providers, and they are coming for the continuing education credits that we provide within our symposium. So they're going to be healthcare providers, nurses, social workers, case managers, licensed administrators for nursing homes, assisted livings, and the like. In addition to that, though, we also are attracting business to business. So we have home cares, hospice, rehabilitation locations and services, things of that nature. We attract all of those businesses to attend as well, because again, we want our sponsors, our vendors, to be connected with other businesses as well, so that they can continue the dialogue of how to support each other. And then lastly, we also are marketing to the general public. So it's those adult children and those seniors themselves who are learning to become their own advocates and making this event a priority, so that way, if the worst case scenario does happen for them, they're a little more equipped and prepared for advocating with what they want, who they want to work with, and what they would like to do ultimately at the end.
Great. I like that it's a mix of both, you know, for your specific audience there. And then for Alquincia, I know for your target audience, I assume these are shoppers, people ready to spend money. Tell us a little bit more about your target audience for the Black Virtual Mall.
Right, definitely shoppers. Anyone who's looking, we have a myriad. We also have service providers as well, as long as they're able to service remotely. And in order to gain traffic too, we utilize what social media has taught us, is that the milkshake that brings the voice to the yard is information, right? And entertainment. So we're all logged into Instagram and everything because we like to be entertained. So we have the shoppers, but the shoppers alone is not going to drive that reoccurring traffic. So that's where the movie theater comes in. So we offer free educational, entertaining, and informative content, from courses to plays to music videos. So that way we are now actually having another driver of traffic to also help funnel more traffic to them. So of course it's the consumers and the average shopper, but yes, definitely.
Okay, great. And then if we're looking more for at sponsorship specifically and kind of dive into your sponsors, that's where I want to go next. I know everyone's excited about that. I have quite a few questions to ask. Specifically for Laura and Alquincia on sponsorship. And then Kevin, I'll get to you because we have a unique case that I want to talk to you about specifically for Petroskills that you guys do with us. So for Laura and Alquincia, for your sponsors, are most of your sponsors considered B2B or B2C? I assume, you know, B2B, but please chime in.
Yeah, well, definitely for myself, B2B. So they're all already existing businesses. We don't take anyone who's not, they have to have a website. So they already have to have an e-commerce presence. So they're definitely B2B.
Okay. And Laura, for you?
So I would say I'm the same as Alquincia. We are B2B. However, all of the businesses that their mission is to service the consumer population. So they're attracting B2B relationships, but they're offering resource to the consumers.
Right. Okay, great. So now we kind of have the focus more of B2B with this conversation as we go into more sponsorship. So tell me about your structure for your sponsorship packages. Do you offer multiple tiers? That sort of thing. I know, of course, 3 different price points. Some people like to do 4 packages. Some people like to just keep it simple at 2. But I feel like 3 is really the sweet spot where you kind of capture each of the ranges for budget that your potential sponsors and sponsors may have. So tell me a little bit more about the structure of these packages. Alquincia, excited to learn about your sponsorship packages.
Yeah, definitely. So I have 4 different tiers of pricing. So the bookstore, so there's bookstore, artists, and musicians. That monthly rent is $50. Then we have our kiosk, which is like more of our artisan startup brands. The monthly rent is $100. And then we have our stores, which are mid-level brands. That's $150 a month. And then we have our premium, and that is $200 a month. And so with that, it comes with a different visibility and exclusivity, and also the branding awareness and presence. So the kiosk, we utilize the smaller, the stores and the kiosk and the musicians and stuff, we utilize the really smaller booths. And then of course for the stores, we are using your larger booths. I had the premium booths customized actually and designed. So I had someone to design those, so those have a larger presence. The stores that with the musicians, there's 50 per floor. The kiosk are 40 per floor. The kiosk are 30 per floor. And then the premium has the aerial view, and it's only 20 per. So you get that exclusivity and that higher visibility and brand awareness. And so that's our tier.
Oh, love it. And it seems very affordable too, for your sponsors. I think that's great. And so you have the 4 packages. Laura, what about you? How many packages, how many tiers do you offer?
So we actually have 6 different price points that we offer, 6 different packages. Starting at our lowest, which is an exhibitor level, and that's $500 for the event. But then it tiers up from silver to gold. And then we have 3 exclusive packages where only one sponsor can solicit for that package. So once it's sold out. And those are a little bit more costly, but those are also loaded up with a lot more exposure, branding, and benefits when they take on that role.
Mm-hmm. And I recall your symposium specifically, you have a package, one of the top 2 tiers, I believe, where you can sponsor the auditorium, you can sponsor the lounge. So there's a lot of branding that goes into that. You can name it, your company, your company's auditorium, that sort of thing. Can you tell us a little bit more about those higher packages where you have a big name sponsor coming in to sponsor an area of the virtual event?
Yeah, so we have I'll start at our highest. So our highest is our presenting sponsor. And the presenting sponsor, not only in addition do they get to have the branding all over the auditorium, but they get live speaking opportunity while we're presenting on the symposium. And also their brand is attached to all of our promotional materials. So as we're promoting the symposium, our presenting sponsor's name, logo will be also carrying along with it. It's on the landing page, it's in the auditorium, they get the bigger banners in the lobby. So we've really put a value to the exposure that you can get as that presenting sponsor, in addition to the exposure that you're going to get with the promotion initiatives that we put in place behind the symposium. The next level, because again, we are care providers, but we also are business to business. We just created, last year, it was the networking lounge. So we had the lounge space, and I actually embedded a third-party software into vFairs to allow that face-to-face networking, which vFairs so conveniently has now created this year. But we did embed that software so that way professionals and attendees can go into the environment, they can move their little avatars up to each other and network to each other. So they were able to name that networking lounge. They were able to have a special customized space in the virtual environment as well. And also they had a little bit smaller than a presenting sponsor, but same branding locations all over the environment within the lobby. And now this year we have the exit or the entrance view. So we're also branding within our entrance view as well for these higher sponsors. And then our third tier is new this year. We are re-signed on with vFairs. We had such a great success last year with our symposium. And we actually, now we do a caregiver nomination award every year where the professionals in the area, the consumers in the area, everyone can vote for a professional caregiver and really highlight, those shining stars in our industry who care and do what they do because they love it and they love to take care of people. So we set up the caregiver award, and we are so lucky that, it was barely offered for a month, and one of our sponsors jumped on an opportunity to buy up that third tier, and now they are our naming caregiver award sponsor. So they're going to be on the application for the caregiver award, also premier branding within the lobby, and they're also going to get video time where we can launch a video of them, announcing the caregiver award and things of that nature.
Oh, that's so neat. So those are your sponsorship packages. You offer 6. And then do you have any add-ons? So once a sponsor comes on, they sign for a specific package at a specific tier. Do you have other things they can add on to their package? Like if you want to be a part of the scavenger hunt, you can have your logo hid, let's say in the lobby, or maybe you're a part of the leaderboard where, someone comes to your specific session and gets a lot of points in order to maybe win a prize at the end. Do you do that sort of thing?
So right now we are not doing any add-ons to our sponsorship levels. We're kind of evolving this event as we go. One of the beautiful things about vFairs is the analytics that we get. So as we find the successes and opportunities within our events, we, strive to make our event even better the next time around, because this is an annual thing that we do. So we have not put any additional add-ons onto our sponsorships. Right now, we just want to continue to offer that value for cost. So that way, we can sell out on our sponsorships and really focus on offering a wonderful program.
Great. Okay. So for add-ons, you might not be using them now, but maybe perhaps in the future. And then for Alquincia, are you currently doing add-ons too for your sponsors?
Well, as you know, the mall is open. So of course, because we don't want any obstructions to traffic. But when we do our Halloween, so we did a Halloween scavenger hunt, and we also did a scavenger hunt for Black History Month. And so the first time we utilized it, it was myself. So now I am offering the vendors the opportunity to take their logo or their icon, and we then hide it in the mall for a fee. And so they'll get that recognition as well. And I did a sponsorship, ironically, with another conference. So there was another conference of entrepreneurs, and I bought the $10,000 sponsorship package. And so it came with all of the things how Laura mentioned. So there was a lot of brand presence for me. I was on the entry page. I was on the, I did host one of the conversations, one of the larger panelists. So the branding was all around and framed around. So that was really, really neat to be able to do. It was named, my hall was named for me. I was in the email blast. There was a DJ. We got the shout out from that. So there were a lot of different perks that were, just like Laura mentioned, that were added. And so for me, it was less of, it's conversion, but definitely have brand awareness. And so I really felt that because I was also a speaker. So to be at a virtual event, speaking on virtual events with all of that brand awareness around my virtual event, it was just kismet. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that sounds amazing. And then for your specific sponsors, Alquincia, are they there for lead generation? Obviously, I know for the audience, they're more, shoppers. They're ready to come and buy from your sponsors who have their booth set up and who are there to, to have retail basically kind of set up for stores.
Right.
Is your audience more there to capture, like to be a lead for your sponsors, or what does that look like?
Yeah, so I'm in a unique position where the mall has to be open so that we can get traffic. So in that way, I'm not able to capture the emails as you typically would do for the registration or as I do with the scavenger hunt. So I'm not able to offer them the emails as I would to say, well, this is who visited your booth. But I am able to offer them the analytics. So monthly, I do a traffic report to show them like who's in traffic. And I take people in cohorts. So it's important for them to know this person came in June, so their numbers are going to be a little different than your numbers if you just came in May or March. So every month we announce our new vendors. We do a pop-up notification in the mall to say, hey, visit our new vendors. We have a category for our new vendors. And then we do give them the analytics, so they're able to compare and see what the traffic is that we are leading to them. And then we are concerned with their conversion rates. So eventually we'll have a method to help them. And I do offer free courses to say that, I've gone to your website and it's your customer journey that may be a little bit off. So we're sending, but they're not converting. So we're looking into why aren't they converting as much? And that's another service that we'd like to provide for them, because that's what we want. We want them to convert. So it would be really, really awesome. But of course, I'm open, so I can't give the emails, but I can at least give the numbers.
Sure. And it's how you have registration set up. So basically I love, like, your Black Virtual Mall, you literally can just click on, go to the website, click through, and it takes you right there. So it's easy access. You're right. You're in right away. I know for you, Laura, there's a registration, there's a more formal process where the potential attendee, they actually will register and then they'll attend on the day of. Maybe you have just their email address, or maybe there's a password associated with it too. But Laura, for your specific sponsors, are they sponsoring with you for lead gen to kind of capture these potential, clients of theirs for caregiving?
Sorry, I clicked my home button instead of the mute button.
No worries.
So it's a little bit of both. Yes, the general public that attends our event, they are looking to, capture them as an interested potential, client for theirs in the future. But also it's that business to business, it's that building rapport, it's showing your product and seeing if those social workers or those nurses or those administrators find value in the resource that they're providing, so that way, after the symposium, they're able to refer back to them and reconnect with them and build an even more lasting relationship. So To Alquincia's point, the analytics are extremely important, but our registration is very thorough. We want to know who you are, who you work for, what your title, your position is, and your contact information, because coming to our event, you are given an opportunity to build resource to resource. So we want to make sure all of our sponsors are able to see that they had XYZ professionals and consumers within their booths. We do keep our consumer contact information very private. The consumers do not have to share, and we do not include them in some of the tracking that we share back with the professionals, because they're coming for their own personal needs. But the businesses, it's definitely for game, so that way the professionals can reach out to them. We actually activated the attendee list so that people can connect with them directly and invite them back to their booth. So you're not just stuck in a booth waiting for someone to come and chat with you, but you can actually actively go into the networking lounge or in the attendee list and invite them back. So that way you can start building those trusting relationships with those professionals.
Oh, I love that. That's really interesting. Thank you for sharing, Laura and Alquincia. My next question is more around, of course, the pandemic. Has the pandemic changed how you sell sponsorship, or has it at all? I know, Laura, with you specifically for the symposium, you had it in person, and now you're looking at more of a hybrid approach for this year, but consider this year, or even the past couple of years, I should say, has it changed how you sell sponsorship for the symposium, or not at all?
I think if anything, our symposium still holds true to its mission, where we used to know that people would leave the symposium with a swag bag full of, brochures, and you hope your brochure stuck out enough for them to open. We now can actually see who downloaded what documents out of the booth, and we can talk to those care providers and say, hey, this document that you uploaded into your booth was extremely successful. Make sure that you include this. It's a resource that people want. So I think that the vendors, in addition to knowing what's actually being picked up and what's not, is helping them grow as a business. But also in the same respect, they're seeing a variety of different businesses around them. So they're also opening their eyes to maybe other organizations they didn't know exist or didn't have a contact person for, and building their personal relationships with them as well.
Yeah. And that outreach, just being able to be virtual. I know before you had it in person, so a lot of people were probably local, I imagine, in the New Jersey or Pennsylvania areas and states. But I know going virtual, you had more of a reach. Now you kind of work with people across other states that are not close to you, which is really neat. I know that means a lot to sponsors too. It means more lead, gen for them, which I know for a lot of our customers who do sponsorship, lead gen is one of the number one reasons why they have sponsors and why their sponsors sign on with them for these events. And being global, because you're virtual, you have, let's say 30 to 40% higher, leads than you did before in person. So I think that's a great, testament to your event going from virtual, from in person to virtual. And then for you, Alquincia, what would you say for the pandemic? Has it changed how you sell sponsorship, since you kind of wear that hat there at Immersive?
Yeah, it literally created the business. So it was responsive to the pandemic. So it definitely has. And now people are really seeing the value. One, we already understood the value in e-commerce, but I know that there's quite a few people who have a very smaller presence online, or they do have a brick and mortar, and they're now really understanding the value add for the virtual environment. But more so, being a part of a larger conglomerate is what they're really starting to understand, especially because we're offering high visibility and exclusivity. So there will be a limitation on our vendors, which is 500. It'll max out at 500 versus the big boss in the room who has 9 million and is doing 4,000 a day. So there's far less competition. And so that part as well, they're seeing the value add in that, and having that backup brand presence, or sometimes we're a little larger than they are, in terms of the numbers that they're usually getting. So that's helped out tremendously.
Great. That's wonderful to hear. And when we're talking about, attracting new sponsors, because once you have sponsors, it tends to be where you have them. They're pretty much locked in with you if they're getting what they want and they see your event to be valuable to them. So let's talk about attracting new sponsors, because I know for anyone out there who may be listening and attending today who's already doing sponsorship, I think a lot of it, like the question marks for the next event, is how do we attract new sponsors? We already have a great, deal of sponsors with us, but how do we go about attracting these new ones to attend the events and to be there? So how does that go for you, Alquincia? How do you go about attracting new sponsors, or do they come to you? Because I know it may be different for some of our customers. They may have to go out or kind of do a little bit of both, but some sponsors just kind of gravitate. They hear word of mouth, maybe marketing has something to do with this. Could you speak to how you attract new sponsors?
Well, I definitely use scarcity. By me being open all year round, we only take people in once a month. So there's a short window for the application process and then the approval process, and then we move you in. So that takes place between the 1st and the 14th of the month, and then we move you in. So there's the scarcity. I'm constantly reminding people of my application, the number of applicants versus the number of slots. So right now, you'll see posts that say there's 1,800 applicants. There's only 500, and they know it's exclusive. We do not allow everyone. We're also cognizant of not just limiting the amount, but limiting the amount of businesses so it's not oversaturated. So we are very cognizant. If we have, say, 20 eyelash businesses within the whole mall, we're going to cap out at that. So you may be denied, not because you didn't qualify, but simply because we've already reached the volume for your particular industry or business. So it has increased competition or that need of, so those denials, it's like, oh my God, I was denied. That helps too.
Yeah.
So I think if I were just open and you could come in whenever you want, there wouldn't be that need to actually take action. So we do have our organic marketing and things like that. It's a new thing. It's the only thing that exists of its kind. So we have that going for us as well. But yes, I'm constantly reminding you of the applicants, the numbers, how close we are getting to full capacity, what the waiting list is going to be like, and that the rent will be going up just like around the world. So very soon you want to jump in on that now. So those are some of the things that I utilize.
Great. Great. And then for you, Laura, how do you go about attracting new sponsors since this is an annual event?
So our sponsorship tiers are capped. We only have a certain amount of sponsorships that we allow. Not because we can't use the funding to help pay and make it even better, but one, we want to keep it small enough that it's digestible, that those that are there get quality face time. When we're looking at new sponsors, nobody's guaranteed a spot the next year. So it is a first come, first serve basis. Obviously, we do give our previous sponsors a little bit of a week's heads up, like, hey, sponsorships are open, snag them while you can. But once that week is expired, it's myself and my colleagues' job to go out there and find other businesses and opportunities that they may find value in the symposium and that they want to be a part and a partner with us in it. So we normally are trying to promote the exposure opportunities. You can't get 371 healthcare professionals in your area in one room right now. It's just not possible. So what we're trying to show them is coming and being a part of our symposium really gives them that leg up opportunity to not only have the exposure that they're looking for, but also have the connection that they need so that they can continue to do their jobs.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really too empowering, sponsors too, once you have them and once they're a part of these events, really having them kind of showcase and kind of do their thing, to help. And maybe a lot of times I have noticed with sponsors, they kind of spread the word of mouth back to that organic kind of marketing that happens. If there's a company and they have a sister company, let's say, maybe there's another company that they're friends with, that they work close with, you better believe if they're having a lot of success as a sponsor at one of your events, they're going to spread that word of mouth to others who will join.
Can I jump in and answer a question? Another method that I use, someone asked about having limited funding. So sometimes you may not have the capital to actually place in someone's hand. So another thing that we do is we'll offer to our tenants limited spots where there'll be about 25. And so we'll say, okay, whoever posts this, you have to repost whatever it is, the marketing that I'm utilizing, you have to repost it. And the first person to get to 100 comments gets free rent next month. So that's another thing. So instead of us actually taking the finances and, you know, we're just saying, okay, let's utilize what we have already. And so we'll give them free rent. So they're all reposting, hey, I'm in the mall, come get in the mall, you know, and so that way, so I just saw the question, I wanted to speak to that. So that was a creative way of being able to get more exposure and more eyeballs on the mall.
Yeah, I love that you do that. And it gets your brand out there, Alquincia, it gets the virtual mall, you know, out there as well, to sponsors and like their network. So it's really spreading that net even wider. I love that you do that. So like kind of saying, hey, if you get 100 comments, you get, you know, you're rent free next month. I think that's really creative and amazing. So thank you for sharing that. I want to kind of dive a little bit into monetization. I know we only have a few more minutes, so we may be going over, guys, for the attendees who are here with us. There's a lot of questions that I want to get to from the audience as well. But quickly, Laura, I wanted to talk to you about monetization and in the form of ticketing and registration for your event. I think between the three panelists here today, you're the only panelist who for this event you do charge. So could you talk a little bit about how you monetize the event from ticket sales?
Sure. So we kept our ticket sales quite affordable. It's actually, I'll share it. Our ticket sales are $35 last year. And one of the feedback that we received from some professionals from our in-person symposium versus our virtual symposium was, if your company is not reimbursing you the ticket price of you attending, even if you need the credits, not all companies can do that. They just can't justify the $100 to attend an all day and miss work. So the team and I came together and decided, let's make it a really affordable. We don't need ticket sales to pay for the symposium. And I have to stress that we do the ticket sales because then we can give it back and we can put it back into the industry in areas that it matters. So with our ticket sales, we actually keep it down to like $35. And that way professionals, if they can attend, they can take that out of their own pocket if they need to, or if their company is like, all right, 35 bucks, I'll go ahead and expense you that. I'll give you that. So it really makes it easier for people to attend. It's more affordable. And it's also, it makes us a little bit more approachable when it comes to an event that they can do.
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. Either maybe their business can reimburse them for that $35 ticket, or either, $35 when you look at it, you're getting that credit, that education, that continued education credit with coming to your symposium. So that's worth the $35 right there, and they get to sit at home and log in from their laptop. So there's nothing than that.
I mean, when they pay for those continuing education credits, it could be expensive. It can be $60+ just for a couple of credits. So $35 to get multiple credits and to get the connections that they're going to get at the event really make it invaluable. Also keeping in mind that we have a general public population that comes to our event as well. And it is gut-wrenching sometimes when your mom needs care and you don't know where to go. And now you see this elder care symposium is happening virtually and you're going to try and join it while you're working, or if you're lucky to not be working that day and you can really immerse yourself in it. $35 is an expense that you can kind of check off as it's worth it. Anything more than that, or even, when you get to that in-person cost, it kind of takes some of those people who need our resource out of the equation, and we didn't want to do that.
Yeah, no, I think that's smart. And do you offer an early bird rate?
We used to. So we used to offer an early bird rate, but we ended up taking that away. One, we didn't see that people were taking advantage of the earlier bird as much as we would have hoped anyway. But also we've gone another angle and we've offered promo codes for discounts. So to certain professional groups, I know, we work and are partnered with NASW. So we offer all of the social workers working with them a discount code. So that way, when they come to our event, they get a little bit of a discount for attending. But also, key partners of ours, we try to help work with them in different ways. But typically we believe a value is a value. So, the cost is the cost. And we don't want someone to say, why did they get less than me? Because they both matter to us. So we try to just keep it the price it is, and we don't do the early bird any longer.
Okay, good to know. So you do use monetization and you do charge for tickets. So great. And then Kevin, I wanted to come back to you. You have a unique case, a unique use case, as you actually don't use sponsorship or monetization for Conclave for your online event. However, you use your event to help empower your Alliance members with learning opportunities and insights that they take back with them, after they leave the event, which ultimately helps in creating valuable revenue streams for them. So to dive in a little deeper, I want to talk to you for a couple minutes about that and ask you a few questions about your virtual event. Why does Petroskills have an annual conclave specifically for your business?
Sure. And it kind of goes back to a question that was put into the chat. I think Stephanie had posed a question, and I'll kind of answer the question and answer yours at the same time. Is that one of the things that Petroskills realized from the very early on is that nobody has development for their employees figured out 100%. Mm-hmm. You can have the best talent management organization. You can have CLOs, everything from a very small company up. And so what companies really need to get to is a point of, okay, if we don't have something figured out, how do we do stuff better, cheaper, faster together rather than trying to do it on our own? And so kind of going back to Stephanie's question in the chat is that if you can get a company to realize that they're willing to talk about some of their challenges, that they're willing to share where they're struggling with, there's a very good chance in a large enough group that you're going to have another company that has figured that out, that has found a solution to help them out. Now, it may not be an apples and apples comparison, et cetera, but they have better solutions. For instance, we're all on this call this morning, and every one of us have learned something, how to do something better because somebody else has figured something out. Why not share that? And so we actually go to companies and we invite them to be part of our conclave to share. That is our first initiative. Share what you're doing well. Share what's working for you. Mm-hmm. Share where you're being successful. Because if you had a challenge and you found a solution, there's a very good chance that there's another company or another part of an organization that needs to learn that and needs to hear that. And so once you get a company past that point, once a company says, hey, we're willing to share, hey, this is a struggle we have, this is something we're trying to do better, somebody else can step in and say, well, here's something that worked for us, maybe y'all should try this. And then you have collaboration. Once you have collaboration, you build relationships, you build trust, you build integrity, and you end up finding out that those people will talk for years and years down the line saying, hey, I'm struggling with something. Maybe you figured this out. How do we do this? And they may be the exact same type of company that are actually competitors in the market. But if they're willing to share, they'll reciprocate later on and help benefit everybody else.
Yeah, I love that. Thinking of the thought of two competitors coming together to solve a problem in the world, maybe that's a project that they're working on together through, your organization with Petroskills. I think that's just really neat. The collaboration happening even between competitors can drive amazing results. I mean, hats off to you and also the team at Petroskills for what you guys are doing. I know with the vFairs virtual environment, that's big for obviously, your event. And what do you consider to be some advantages of having conclave with us at vFairs?
Well, and I'll kind of bring in something that Alquincia said earlier. It's about helping people. And if you can help people in this world, you could be successful. But you have to be willing to help people. And that is something that we've always thought as a backbone of every single thing we do. And so when COVID hit and we realized we have to do this virtually, we actually went to our Alliance members and said, we're gonna do this virtually. No one on my team knew how to do something virtually. We've done classes where we had instructor led and competency development, but we've never held a major event virtually. And so by partnering with vFairs, y'all basically came alongside and became part of our family and partnering with us saying, this is how this works better. And this is something you could do to improve. And, some things we're like scratching our heads, said, boy, this will never work in oil and gas, but it did. And so you have people talking, you have people sharing. And so by partnering with y'all and y'all becoming part of our family, people are now saying, well, how did y'all do this? How did this happen? Well, reach out to vFairs because they'll walk you through this. And so literally this great big world we have became just a very large virtual community. And people who couldn't travel, maybe they can't get visas, they can't even get out their country, much less get on an airplane to go somewhere, now can be part of something huge and really contribute to that and offer their suggestions and offer their advice.
Yeah, no, I agreed. And we see it the same way, Kevin. I mean, we see Petroskills as a part of our family here at vFairs. That's how we see all of our customers, you know, Laura and Alquincia. I feel like we're all a family together and what we do, and kind of going after the goals of your events. That's great, Kevin. I appreciate kind of expanding on Conclave there. And then for you know, expectations around partnering with a technology provider, there's so many out there, right? But for your annual events, what are these types of expectations that you have?
Sure. I'll just kind of lay out three things I think are important. Number one is integrity. You know, and we kind of go back at Petroskills, we have what we call our quality processes around what makes a quality organization, you know, and it really boils down to 4 or 5 key things. You know, you say what you're going to do what you say you're going to do, you check on the results, you evaluate those results, and then you fix things that are wrong.
Mm-hmm.
If you can do that as an organization, you'll have a quality organization. And so we look at that when we look at partnering with a technology company, and vFair does that. And early on with the folks that were helping us, we shared that and said, this is how we work. And when you have trust and you do your business by integrity and you say, this is what we're going to do, this is how this is going to look, this is how we're going to support you in this manner, that means a lot with us. I mean, we're a very small organization. We have less than 100 employees, but we have nearly 500 contract folks that work with us. And so we do this with every single thing. And when you talk with one of our contractors, it's not about them working for us. They work with us and we work with them because we have to partner. And so that's how we feel about vFairs as a technology provider is to be a partner. In that if you help us be successful, we're going to help you be successful, and everybody is successful. They're going after that, and companies see that. And now there's companies in our alliance that are reaching out to vFairs to do the same thing because they realize that.
Yeah, it's all about that. I totally agree. The value that you get, you know, trusting, that's a big piece of this, trusting your technology provider, making sure that, you know, privacy is also there too. So I'm glad that we're able to check these boxes off for you, Kevin. I know we're just over time. Gosh, there's so much to talk about. We may have to have a part 2 of this, but thank you also so much, you know, Kevin, Alquincia, and then Laura. I'll ask you to stay on just for a couple more minutes. I know we have a lot of questions that we've had. I want to just really quick go to our gift card winners, and then we're going to dive into a couple questions that you guys have sent us in chat. So thank you so much for staying, guys, over time. Really quick for our winners. So thank you again for staying till the end. We'll get to the Q&As just shortly after this, but I wanted to go ahead and be respectful of your time and announce the winners. So I wanted to give away 2 of these $50 Amazon gift cards as a thank you for joining us today and staying here on the webcast. Let's see, our team has selected 2 attendees at random, completely at random. So I want to go ahead and announce them now. All right. So the first winner of the Amazon gift card giveaway is, drumroll please, Tiffany Davidson. Congratulations, Tiffany. I hope you're going to buy some fun things on Amazon with this gift card. And then our second winner is, let's see, we have Lynn Nathy. So sorry if I messed your last name up. But Lynn, L-I-N, thank you so much. And congratulations on winning your $50 Amazon gift card. We will be in touch with you shortly after this webcast today with details on how to redeem these 2 gift cards that you've won. So congratulations, Tiffany. It looks like you're super duper excited. Thank you so much for joining. And if anyone has a couple minutes to stay on, we're going to go really quick into a couple questions, if you don't mind, the panelists, and see what we have here. So let's see, there are so many amazing questions that have come in. One, let's see, from Tiffany, any suggestions on automation tools that help scale the vFairs platform? So do you guys use Salesforce specifically for like Laura and Alquincia? How do you kind of use automation tools for your business?
Yeah, so I don't use Salesforce, but I do utilize, so there's an application process. We review the applicants. Once they're approved, I actually use Shopify, and I use an app called Apostle through Shopify, which is the subscription-based service. So once they are approved, they pay, there's a deposit that we collect. So that payment comes through, and then all of the rental payments are extracted on the 7th of the month. So we use Apostle. So I also use JotForm for the applications, and we use Apostle, and that's the automation service that runs for us. And then of course we use our email, which is OmniSend. So that sends all of the automated receipts, the information, the floor manager information, and everything that they need to know. So those are the automations I use.
Great. So you have a couple of them that you use kind of in your realm. Very good. Let's see. Nick has a good question. With very limited funds, how can we get started finding sponsors, exhibitors, etc.? So how would you guys go about that?
So for finding sponsors, I really, what our objective is who's going to benefit from the event. So we do the one-day symposium, and vFairs has actually expanded our value with offering the 30-day on-demand afterwards, which I did not realize how many people came back to our event until I pulled the analytics before meeting with our sponsors for this year, and was wowed by the amount of people that came back and were viewing and using it. So when I'm looking for sponsors, I'm looking for who's going to actually benefit. And I will go to those, marketing professionals or those owners and explain the objective of the event. And then typically, if it works within their budget, offering those 6 tiers of sponsorships, there is a sponsorship level for everybody for the most part. So that way, even if they want to come in as an exhibitor at the first time and just dip their toe in it and see how involved they want to be, but then other folks who can already see right from the initial presentation that it's going to be a valuable event, they might jump in at a little bit of a higher sponsorship to get some of that branding and value add to it.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great way, very insightful. Thank you for answering that, Laura. We have had so many questions to come in. We will have to answer them offline. I want to be very respectful of everyone's time today. We're about 7 minutes over, but I wanted to just wrap up the webcast by saying thank you so much. Of course, our panelists, to Alquincia, Kevin, and Laura, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedules. Also, I know you're in the height of like planning some of these virtual events that you're doing. So thank you for taking the time out to be here today. Like I said, we may have to have a part 2 of this to continue on the conversation about sponsorship and monetization. And also thank you to everyone who has attended today, and congratulations, of course, to our gift card winners. We'll be in touch with you shortly after. And then if you want to learn more about how you can start using sponsorship and monetization for driving your online events, please email us here at vFairs. The email address is sales@vfairs.com. We will connect with you and reach out this week. And as a reminder, lastly, that you'll receive a follow-up email from this webcast today that will include the on-demand link. So you can go back and play it. You can go and share it with colleagues, family, friends, and your networks. So I just wanted to make sure that we reminded you of that. Thank you all so much again for joining us today. We hope that you will join us back here next week for our next webcast, and have a great rest of your day, everyone. Take care.
Thanks, everyone.